we are the only country in the world which has a stipulation for 4 meter, below 4 meter engine capacities. So many things going into the mix. I mean, so 4 meter is arbitrary. Taxes have been rationalized. There's a 40% slab for the over 4 meters or over 1500 cc capacity. So that is one part. Then there is now an 18% slab, which is sub 4 meter cars, and for petrol over up to 1200 cc, and for diesel 1500 cc. Now hydrogen powered fuel cell vehicles, duties have gone down to, GST has gone down to, sorry, not duties, but GST has gone down to 5%. Duties on components have also been rationalized.
Yeah. Tesla is from bringing their cars from Germany.
Yes, so Tesla is now getting the Model Y, but they have the entire range, and they have the options of getting cars from other places also, depending on whether they're making right and drive in those plants.
Biggest highlights of why US is pushing these higher tariffs on vehicles from India is Royal Enfield, because they're making a huge dent on the market there. How do you see this GST policy evolving over time? Finally, a very, very nice time, at least in the last 5 years, to buy a car. You have a favorable structure. Hello and welcome to Connecting Rod, your one-stop destination for everything automotive, whether it's policy, whether it's car buying advice, it's all right here. And joining me today is, of course, editor of Auto Today, Yogendra Pratap, who's here to speak on a very, very interesting shake-up that the Indian automotive sector has seen, that specifically being GST cuts. And Yogen is a guru as far as it comes to everything policy. So there's so much to unpack with this GST cut that has now come into, or will come into play in the next 4 days. By the time this podcast is out, these rate cuts should be in effect. First, let's start with the major outline. I think the three major sectors that have been, that will get changed is the small cars, super luxury cars, and of course EVs I think have remained the same at 5%.
Yeah, so that's something interesting that has happened. EVs have remained at 5%, no further incentives, but at the same time, no hiking up of the rates as well. It would have been good if they would have said that, okay, we are going to keep GST on EVs at 5% for the foreseeable future, for 20 years, 25 years, 10 years. I mean, so that's still a gray area. But finally, I mean, it could have also have changed, but it hasn't. So we are all thankful for that. And overall, I think cars that are made in India, of course, GST is for cars that are at least assembled in India. Overall, cars have got cheaper. Some of the segments, the price decreases are substantial. In the others, they are not insignificant. And the only auto sector or only vehicles that have gone more expensive are actually two-wheelers over 350 cc.
So do you, this is actually has been a pain point. We've seen so many CEOs take to social media and say that maybe this slab-wise policy for two-wheelers is not something that is going to be super effective. How do you see that, especially with us now becoming a global force in the middleweight space of two-wheelers?
Yeah, so I mean, the division of slabs was not ideal to start off with. I mean, even for cars, we are the only country in the world which has a stipulation for 4 meter, below 4 meter engine capacities. So many things going into the mix. I mean, so 4 meter is arbitrary. And so overall, the slabs are not ideal, and they have not been ideal in the past. But I think there is some rationalization that has happened. Slabs have come down from so many slabs to now one that they call the luxury, or still the sin segment. And apart from that, there are two other slabs that are there.
Yeah, and so if you talk about quantum of change, I think the luxury section has got a huge, because in some places it's over 12%.
Yeah, so even overall in the bigger cars, it has come down to 40% from rates that were ranging from 43, 44
To
to
50 plus,
52.
yeah.
Yeah, at times because earlier there were the taxes and then there was the cess as well. So now it's all uniform. There's no cess on top of it. So a 10% reduction in of GST taxes in
On a 50 lakh car is 5 lakh rupees.
on a crore car, on
Exactly.
a 2 crore car, and
Is
two and
20
a
lakh.
half. Yes. So, I mean, brands like Mercedes, BMWs, who are assembling a lot of vehicles in India, are seeing a lot of price reductions. But that apart, even for some of these mid-sized, not so premium brands like Skoda, for example. On the Kodiak, I mean, it's a
A
substantial
5 lakh rupee discount
5 to 6 lakh rupee discount. And one more thing, I mean, we should like stop press, as we would say in the magazine space. What has also happened is that these GST cuts were announced earlier in the month, and they were going to be effective from the
22nd.
22nd. So all the car makers understood that nobody's going to buy cars till that
Yeah.
time. Some of them said, okay, start booking cars and we can keep on piling up inventory till the 22nd when deliveries will actually start happening. But at the same time, some of the others came up with some interesting add on benefits,
Yeah.
and which like in the case now coming back to Skoda, I mean the Kodiak, for example, had add-on benefits and all, which really made it a very good buy compared to what it was selling for before. And the other thing that I want to highlight is that, okay, so taxes have been rationalized. There's a 40% slab for the uh,
Sin segment.
over 4 meters or over
Above 1.5.
1,500
Yeah.
cc capacity. So that is one part. Then there is now an 18% slab,
Slab. Yeah.
which is sub 4 meter cars, and for petrol over up to 1,200 cc, and for diesel 1,500 cc. So now this diesel 1,500 cc sub 4 is also benefited quite a
Yeah.
bit because diesel
Cars
as it
like the
is had
Thar,
a
rear
higher
wheel drive.
tax before. And there's of course the 5% slab, which used to have EVs,
Yeah.
which continues. But now, interestingly, also one more kind of powertrain is also in the 5% slab. Do you know which?
Hybrids.
No. Hybrids are considered as normal, petrol or
Normal.
diesel.
Okay. Then which is it?
Hydrogen. Oh,
Oh.
so duties have, I mean, it's not been talked about, but now hydrogen powered fuel cell vehicles, duties have gone down to, GST has gone down to, sorry, not duties, but GST has gone down to 5%. So if somebody, there's an opportunity there as well.
This is the perfect segue, because one thing that we've seen is that our industry is very dynamic and it responds to policy changes very quickly and very efficiently. We've seen this before in the past when the sub 4 meter rule came out, when the sub 1.5 liter rule came out, and we've seen it change over time. Like some players like Maruti chose to skip it on the with the Brezza in focus, and they continue to still sell. The Brezza is still a very strong selling car. Do you see more changes like this coming in the industry based on these benefits? Do you see more car manufacturers trying to position their
So
vehicles to?
there was a lot of talk. There was a lot of talk about hybrids also getting lower duties or being equivalent to EVs, strong hybrids. That is, there was also talk of this arbitrary 4 meter cutoff for vehicles being normalized. So all that hasn't happened. Now, I think manufacturers can take a slightly longer term view, seeing that this is what the tax structure is like. And yeah, I think they will now focus more on this tax structure and try and come up with vehicles and make adjustments to powertrains
To
to,
meet.
because already I think whoever had to do sub 4 meter cars, already did sub 4 meter cars. I mean, Mahindra rationalized a couple of their vehicles. Maruti, over a period of time, has been doing it, and now they have a huge chunk of their portfolio in that segment. So that has already happened. Another interesting thing that will make life of car owners slightly easier is that duties on components have also been
Yeah.
rationalized. And where I think it will benefit most car owners is that tires and batteries
Yeah.
have also been
Been brought down to
brought
the.
down to 18%. Yeah, that apart, I think across for the farm sector, all automotive and farm equipment, including tractors, duties are down.
Yeah.
And that goes for tires for tractors, for example, which is also down to 5%.
So,
And
do you think that this is will have a trickle up effect to the consumer eventually over time, or
So overall, people have more spending power. They can spend more,
more?
finally, more money in their pockets to spend. So I think it is overall good for the economy, and automotive sector is the one of the biggest manufacturing sectors or the biggest manufacturing sector in the country, and a boost to that will obviously have a trickle down effect across the economy.
Okay. So I want to just cycle back to two wheelers again because uh, India is becoming the fast growing hub for the middleweight sector. Do you think that this tax structure, which is not really suitable for them, is something that will discourage them from continuing this global aspiration where we're, or
I,
do you think
I
the
don't think
global demand is enough to
yeah,
drive?
I don't think it'll matter so much, and I think people who are going to buy 350cc plus displacement motorcycle will continue to buy it.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, at least the commuter segments and up to 350cc. I mean, 350cc at some point also used to be the top end in the Indian
Yeah.
market. It still is not the low end. It is still the higher end in the Indian market. So a lot of non-commuter kind of motorcycles are also exempt from this higher tax structure. So that is good. And yeah, I mean, the Indian government still has a socialist mindset while they continue to embrace capitalism. And going by that, I mean, what could have been a cutoff if they wanted to have two slabs? I mean, if
Yeah.
they wanted to have a luxury kind of a tax for cars and similarly for two wheelers, then I mean, yeah, it's a moot. I mean, whether you want to cut it off at 250cc, 300, 350, 400,
So what
500 or 600, I mean, yeah.
that yeah
I
like
mean,
before you
I'm
couldn't.
sure they must have done some data crunching and seen that, okay,
Yeah, because the
350
numbers are very insignificant
above
relative to
350,
the
yeah.
relative to the entire market. This is less than 2% of sales. So despite it being a
So,
growing space, it's not really
yeah, I mean, scooters, for example, we don't have any high displacement scooters in the
scooters
country. On top of that, EVs are still
at
at
5%.
5%, so across the board. So that's a good thing.
So, do you think now with this 5% in place, more people are going to bring their EVs to be competitive against? So, there's a gap right now, right, between your small cars and the sub 4 meters and the under 1.5, and then your luxury cars. So, you can bring EVs into that space and make them really competitive from where they stand. Do you see that happening?
So the one drawback is that ICE vehicles, a lot of ICE vehicles have become cheaper.
Yeah,
So the advantage that EVs had with the 5% GST has reduced.
correct.
So the yeah, I mean, EVs have continued to be the same at
When
5%.
you say a lot of ICE vehicles, do you like cars that exist in that middle range under the 40 lakh rupee mark? 40 lakh is the cutoff for the sin tax, right? And like above, say, the 10 odd lakh rupee mark where your sub 4 meters finish. So that segment is a
See,
pretty volume dense segment also. So
yeah, but cars across the board have got cheaper, right? To whatever degree, they have become cheap.
been
Yeah,
rationalized also.
yeah, and EVs have stayed the same. So, I mean, the incentive to jump to EVs has gotten smaller in some segments significantly, in some other segments not so significantly, but still it has become narrower.
So you're saying that the difference between the Creta electric and the standard Creta has now become smaller because
Yeah.
what tax slab was the Creta in earlier?
So around I think 42, depending on the 44, maybe depending on the
The
powertrain,
Cess.
diesel and the cess and all that,
Okay.
and yeah, to 40%, right?
So that's almost a 16% cut in price where the
Yeah.
Creta electric remains the same.
So depends on the powertrain and all that, and seeing where SUVs was a separate slab also, and yeah, overall cars have become cheaper. If
So
you want specifics, we can look them up and
and I'll
talk
leave them
about
on
the
the screen
yeah, yeah. You
for.
can put it out. Yeah.
So you've since the GST cuts have been announced to today, you've spoken to a whole lot of leaders of industry as far as the automotive industry is concerned. What is your feedback from them? Is it all positive?
So
Are there criticisms?
I mean, it is very difficult to have industry leaders criticize government policy. So that doesn't happen. But overall, I think everybody is pleased. Everybody thinks that it will give a boost to the economy. Everybody feels that this festive season will turn out better than what everybody was predicting because of the price cuts. And I think the only few people who are not really excited are the two-wheeler manufacturers who make motorcycles over 350 cc.
Yeah.
And I mean, how many are there? So, yeah.
So the Supreme Court also said yesterday that you can essentially own a vehicle and not register it, therefore not pay tax as long as you use it on private property. So if you buy, like, say, a Thar for use on your farm, you don't have to register it, and uh,
I mean,
you can be exempt
that was actually there from
prior to
day
this.
one. I
Okay.
mean, if you weren't going to use vehicles on public roads, then you could. I mean, you didn't even need to get them homologated. You could use these vehicles only for uh, use on private property. But yeah, it's a clarification, and that will help because it's registrations and RTOs are then state topics, and they have their own idiosyncrasies when it comes to registering and what needs to be registered, how it will be registered. And
Yeah.
you've seen in the past also when a car maker launches a car, I mean, they are getting it, validated with all the different RTOs in the past, and at some places there were problems of registration, which get sorted out right in the beginning. But yeah, it is not a very smooth process. Yeah.
Okay. So far we've had most of the, like, say, Indian manufacturers announce their price cuts, and do you see cars that are coming in through the import route also trying to get more competitive via this?
Um, the switch to assembly from imports may get speeded up,
I mean,
especially because EVs now have remained at 5%. So
and
lots
there are a
of,
whole lot of FTAs also on the global
but on the
scene.
other hand, the FTAs, you don't know. I mean, I'm hearing that the EU FTA is also finally falling into
Fine, yes.
place. There's progress on the US FTA also. Not that we get too many cars from the US, but we
US.
do get some
We have Tesla now.
Mercedes, BMWs from the
Yeah.
US. The SUVs, the big SUVs are coming from the US. And yeah, Tesla as well. From EU, we get a lot of cars. And
I think Tesla is from bringing their cars from Germany.
yes. Tesla is now getting the Model Y, but they have the entire range and they have the options of getting cars from other places also, depending on whether they're making right and drive in
Their
those plants.
factories.
Yeah, I mean, earlier they were making the right and drive Model Y in China.
China
I
also.
think they stopped doing that. So now Germany is the hub
Hmm.
for right and drive Model Ys. And yeah, depending on where the cars are coming from, we could see a lot of price drops if the FTAs go into effect. And then the question will come back on GST and how much, whether there's an incentive to make in India or to import.
Exactly my question. Can you expand a little on the EU FTA and the US FTA and where they stand right now?
So
What is
I
proposed?
think
This is the first time I'm.
yeah, the US FTA agriculture is the biggest. I mean, as everybody's
Gainer,
been
yeah.
reading in the media, we don't want to open up our agriculture economy to foreign players. So that is the biggest hiccup. Not cars so much, but for the EU FTA, the sticky point was cars. And yeah, one doesn't know what shape these FTAs will finally take shape and what will be finalized. But given the UK example, I mean, yeah, we are hopeful that even cars will be included in the FTA to some extent, maybe some quotas and all. So cars that are being imported may get cheaper.
And on the other side of that, on the flip side of that, obviously, I mean, there's going to be exports going from here that will be incentivized for that market. So,
So, yeah, but I mean, traditionally, these markets don't levy a big import duty on cars that are going out from India. So, Indians did not have a big problem. And India usually doesn't export to the developed markets for whom we are putting FTAs into place. But to developing markets and the dynamics there are different.
vastly different.
Yeah. So I think if I remember correct, I mean Mexico does impose import duties on Indian cars,
Yeah.
but it's not to the level that India has been imposing. Or
Yeah.
India, it was impossible to get the cheaper cars into the market from outside. Yeah.
Okay. And you see that happening now if these.
Yeah, one can't say where the buck stops, but
But what
it'll
do
be
you
very
know what has
difficult
been
for.
proposed for the EU FTAs?
I think cars were being kept out of the FTA for the time being. Now I don't know if there's some other change to it.
Because I think some luxury items were included. I'm not sure whether cars were
Yeah, so
made the cut because
yeah,
that
but
would.
everybody, it's very dynamic, and especially after the US has put really steep tariffs on Indian goods, although there are still some exemptions. Everybody is re-looking, going back to the drawing board, seeing how they can benefit from India being in a squeeze to pushing India to sign these FTAs quicker.
So you know, one of the biggest highlights of why US is pushing these higher tariffs on vehicles from India is Royal Enfield because they're making a huge dent on the market there.
It
It's
is still not significant from the size of the economy. It
yeah,
is
because I
minuscule.
mean your two-wheeler
I mean,
market over there.
how many motorcycles does Royal Enfield export? So it is not huge. Yeah, some okay numbers.
I think the Continental 650 was last year for a couple of months the largest selling motorcycle in the US. The Himalayan also did a stint as the largest selling motorcycle. But again, the size of the two-wheeler market in America is a lot smaller.
Right.
So volumes are not that much. But for them.
And also the value of these products is not so much. So
Yeah,
overall, it's a very small, minuscule for for the developed country economies.
yeah. So before we end this podcast, and before let's just do a recap of uh, what could be better, what you are happy with, and where we stand as a whole going forward.
So overall, I think everything is better. I mean, if you look across the board, the only overall duties, the only place where it has become higher is the 350 plus cc motorcycles. Everywhere else, it is gone down. At some places, it has gone down maybe just by uh, 5% for that mid segment
Yeah,
that you were talking about, or uh, yeah, I think 8% in case of diesels, uh, and above 1500 cc. So that is still significant. 10% for the luxury vehicles, which
yeah,
is even more. I mean, ideally, if they are talking from a socialistic point, then these mid-size should have had
and a
a
larger
larger cut or down to. I mean, you wouldn't say that the say a Creta is a luxury
car. Yeah,
SUV.
not in today's market. It's a volume driver for most brands. It's where everybody wants to be selling their volumes right now.
Right. So yeah, 11% down for the small petrol vehicles, 13% down for
Which
the
is
small.
significant. Like something like a Francs is a lakh and 10,000 rupees cheaper now.
Yeah, really good. And the small diesels, even better, 13% down. And
Small
yeah,
diesels are under 1.5 liter diesel.
yeah, and 1.5 liters. So
So just
1.5,
we
yeah,
just mostly have just under
yeah.
the. I
All
think
the
the 1.3 is gone, and I don't think we
So I
have it.
think like the Sonnet, for example,
Yeah,
that is sub 1.5 liter diesel, also less than 4
yeah.
meters.
Another big gainer are those 1 liter turbos, which used to be really expensive. Now
Yes.
they've come severely under the
So
bar.
of course, the sub 4 meter cars that were already very expensive, so a 10% or 11% to
Yeah.
13% high decrease in GST will make them much cheaper. And I mean, the manufacturers are passing all this GST benefits, have been told also to pass on all the GST benefits to the consumer. So yeah, good for the
They've
buyers.
done it. Like I think all manufacturers have rolled out new prices despite it being still 4 days away from being in effect. Uh, Finally, what is your how do you see this GST policy evolving over time, and how, or rather, how would you have it evolve over time?
So I think the biggest thing that the industry wants is stability. The 5% on EVs should stay at 5%, or the if India
There was
wants.
never a cess on any EVs.
No, no,
Okay.
there was never a cess. It was 5% and 5%. And the cesses were really big on the luxury vehicles, so that's why the overall taxation on them was over 50% or going up to over 50%. So number one is stability. That is most important. Number two, I mean, if we are going to stay with these sub 4 meter kind of demarcations, then that should also be very clear that this is going to stay for the
For
foreseeable future.
this long now.
And so EVs, the slabs for the 4 meter, and also I think if they should change something now, it should be for this mid size vehicle segment, where, as you know, that is one of the biggest segments now in the country.
Exactly.
And I mean, even with a socialist mindset, I don't think these qualify to be luxury vehicles. And I mean, one should
And the
think,
actual
relook.
luxury vehicles have gotten significantly cheaper. So, like,
Yeah, and so that is good. And I mean, finally, what is the government's agenda on this? To make cars cheaper for the consumers. Okay, they have achieved that to some extent. But at the same time, if they want their revenues from GST on automobiles to carry on. There was quite some time back, there was an example where duties, I'm forgetting which country, but duties on luxury vehicles, so-called luxury vehicles or the premium brands were normalized. And the overall sales jumped up so much that the revenues were in fact higher with lower duties. So, I mean, that's the other thing that
so you can drive your revenues by increasing the volumes instead of trying for a larger margin.
exactly.
And finally, now our advice for our viewers and listeners as to whether now is finally the best time to buy cars. You know, this is a question that you get asked at least 10 times a day.
I keep telling everybody that if you keep waiting, there'll never be a right time to buy cars. Who knows? Because newer technologies, newer features, newer cars keep on coming. Uh, the thing is, when do you need the car? If you
Yeah.
need the car now, then you buy it now. If you don't need it now, then wait for it, because cars keep getting refreshed. They keep getting better value, keep getting new features. Sometimes more expensive also, and then you have to keep on moving down to smaller cars to get the same kind of features. So it's a very dynamic marketplace, and when you buy a car when you need it. Finally, of course, this GST was a cloudburst. It doesn't happen
Exactly.
all the time, despite the weather changes and all the cloudbursts that are happening. But yeah, now that this GST reduction has happened, I think
The festive season is going to
yeah.
be pretty festive for the automotive industry.
Yeah, I think people can look at buying higher spec cars, larger cars, and maybe, yeah, the people who wanted to buy luxury cars, I think, were buying luxury cars, could afford to buy luxury cars, could squeeze their budgets to buy those cars, and they will continue to buy those
Yeah,
cars.
it'll be interesting actually in the segments that kind of overlap. You know, where you have your Invictos and your high crosses that technically almost touch 40 lakhs, and then you have your 2 series and your that are in the space and going to get benefits from that. That's where I think it'll be interesting for the buyer because he's now thinking, should I buy the Maruti or should I just buy the BMW?
Yeah, but I think the gaps have not the gaps between the the mid segment vehicles have gone down or have not decreased so much.
Yeah,
The taxation on
mid segment.
mid
Yeah,
segment vehicles has not decreased so much, while the super luxury has come down to that same segment. So yeah, there'll be a price
overlap, which should.
gap difference between the two, but yeah, I think otherwise everything has got cheaper.
Okay, so there you have it. That is our podcast on the new GST structure. It is finally a very, very nice time, at least in the last 5 years, to buy a car. You have a favorable structure. The things that we are asking for is stability in terms of policy, in terms of roadmap moving to the future, slightly better consideration for that mid segment where the volumes are.
Also, hydrogen fuel cells. So now,
Also, yeah.
yeah, I think about a 7% reduction in.
Have you heard anything
No, not
before
yet.
we sign off?
Not yet, but I think
We
it's
know
still
a
a.
couple of manufacturers who have.
I mean, lots of manufacturers have been working with the fuel cells. A few of them have them already out in the market globally, and yeah, but we find.
How quickly, I have an interesting question because hydrogen is something I've thought about for a long time, and the major problem is sourcing the fuel, transporting the fuel from like a hub to a center. How do you see it working out? Do you see a Japan model where you're creating green hydrogen out of your grocery store and selling it?
So
Uh,
it could be two-tiered kind of a structure. So India actually had a hydrogen policy roadmap. I think 15 years back,
yeah.
20 years back. I mean, nothing happened to it because there was no oversight. There was no push towards it. But in a market like India, I mean, we could have a two-tier structure where one, you have a central distribution and supply, and on the other, you have localized setups for green hydrogen. I mean, green hydrogen can be in both tiers as well, but you could have two-tier kind of a structure where you have the major networks and
How
all.
do countries that have already adopted hydrogen, how do they transport from?
It is not. I don't think in any country it is so widespread. I mean, the advantage why hydrogen is being skipped is, I mean, we have electricity transmission everywhere. So now it is just to tap it. We have network for transporting, say, CNG also that has developed. There's pipe CNG, natural gas, then it is compressed natural gas is also being transported. And but for hydrogen, we have to build a new network, which is a top tier kind of a network and a small scale distribution network that also has to be looked at. And for a wide and huge geography like India, will also work. Yeah.
Okay. So that's it from us on this podcast on GST. We've told you whatever we know so far. We've also given you a list of things that we would like to see happen in the future. One of the most exciting things is, of course, this new structure for hydrogen, which is now in the same structure as EVs, which should incentivize some new players to bring new technology to the market and make it more interesting and more vibrant for us. That's it from us. Signing off.